the item titled Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, Crawford, Peterson. We would like to be clear about the board's role in this matter and the appeal process. The board is not involved in a complaint, nor investigation of a complaint, unless and until an appeal is requested. In an appeal, the board acts in a quasi-judicial manner and must remain impartial. The board's first entry point into the Crawford-Peterson matter was last Thursday when we voted to hear the appeal.
You don't retaliate against a student. I'm here to reiterate the same idea. And any coach, teacher, counselor, administrator that does shouldn't be tolerated. And the notion that we as parents shouldn't question that is ridiculous.
Specific to Trustee Nancy Peterson, I wish to make a few observations. I've always thought that elected officials are held to a higher standard, for we are entrusted them to act in our best interest. I'm troubled by the fact that Trustee Peterson recently chose to recuse herself from actions specific to Coach Crawford. I'm not sure what the district's attorney may have advised Trustee Peterson, but allowing her to vote to authorize the expenditure of $22,000 for a formal investigation which she initiated seems to be a clear conflict of interest.
I was hired, and then 6 hours later I was removed from my position. You were seriously mismanaging what is going on with these athletes, and I think that by doing what you did and allowing the superintendent to override what was potentially a good fit is wrong. And I think that it extends the drama, and I think that you guys need to step up and make this right.
It's painstakingly difficult when a coach has to cut a player. It's not an easy task, and there's much thought and consternation. I foresee our programs getting even more competitive since we have tougher teams coming into our league. I'm concerned with our student athletes. These teenagers and boundaries, they need rules. When these rules have been overstepped, it's fair game, and in this case, the students have been hurt. So please consider us in our role as coaches for the 1,400 athletes at Davis High School. Let us do our jobs. Our student athletes are ripe and ready to go every single season. They trust us enough to spend hours each day to train with us. Please give them the benefit of being the best that they can be under our tutelage.
One of the things that seems absent to me is the role of the athletic director in these controversies. Do we have a reasonable expectation that when there is a complaint, not necessarily a formal complaint, that we will be informed, or are we going to find out about it secondhand? And this uncertainty with this expectation of what we get in return, I find very disturbing.
But I'll tell you, by and large, most of these coaches are pretty damn good. They do a great job, and they should be mentoring anybody who comes online because they are successful and they do a really good job.
So I think those are some of the issues that.
And Nancy, if you are all that powerful, could you make it rain?
I have a soccer player on the high school women's varsity soccer team. She's been coming up through the ranks. And I also have this year a varsity volleyball player in my family. So I come from the perspective not only of a coach, but of a parent. And I've had the pleasure of working with and learning how to coach because I've had all these awesome people out here as mentors for my children and for me. You guys have a great coaching staff. You have a phenomenal athletic director. And somewhere in the system, things have gotten screwed up. You know, there's that pithy t-shirt that says, they play, I coach, you cheer. And there needs to be some cohesiveness in the administration, not from a board that meets and doesn't feel the athletes and see them and live with them and train them, who doesn't deal with the parents on a regular basis, but at the school, someone that's got the big picture to do the best for our students and for our coaching staff. So I encourage you, in looking at your new policies, to be really clear as to where we as coaches can go for resources, what direction we take, and not just have some ambiguous policies out there that somebody's going to be concerned. We need people on site who know what's going on, who know our athletes, who know the issues and concerns that we have every day as coaches, because we love all those kids, and we really care about them.
My issue was that a disagreement between this coach, her friend, the previous coach, and my wife, at whatever level, became simple retaliation. And it's documented. The threats are there, the email chains are there. We've presented all this information. And now we have a situation where the former coach, Lee Whitmire-Cho, who's really the driver of this process, I'm at a point where the email, the blogs, as I related to the board previously, the previous coach is now blogging, or putting links to a 14-year-old's team to discredit the coach that was hired previously that you heard from before. His only interest is coaching volleyball. If he's connected to me somehow that suggests that there's some plan. I didn't know anything about him interviewing or anything about his position until I heard from his hiring afterwards. My 13-year-old's picture is linked on the Davis Hub site. My 13-year-old. Who here is okay with this? I mean, we've gone past just harassment to craziness. And so I would appeal to the board to end this situation.
I think that one of the coach's main jobs is protection and to protect their students. And I think as adults in this community, it's your role, board members, anybody, to protect students. And I guess it's really disheartening to see that that's not what's been happening from a student's perspective.